Hi, everybody, and welcome back to year three of the Lily Pad group videos. I'm super excited to bring you another year, hopefully, of really helpful videos. They've been really great to make on this end. Hopefully, they've given you a lot of information and techniques that can be helpful. And most of what I really want to do is just kind of educate. Over the course of really the last few years, I'm learning that. Um, self regulation is really important to the healing process when it comes to mental health, physical health, um, and also emotional health. So you'll hear me a lot throughout these videos this year talking about the mind, body, and spirit connection, which I find super important. And one of the first things that I feel like it's important to understand is how to just be present in your body and learn how to regulate. So one of the first things I'll talk about this year is just meditation. And I know for some of us, including me, meditation can be a struggle, but you have to find the right kind of meditation, the thing that just kind of brings you down, will decompress that parasympathetic system and just bring you to center. That's the goal of the process. And so meditation has shown it offers a lot of benefits, right? Um, it's a well known technique to reduce stress and anxiety. However, research has shown that it also helps enhance the mood, promote healthy sleep patterns, and boost your cognitive skills. Um, Evidence of that can be shown is sometimes when you see a person that's just kind of rushing to and fro and they're just moving so quickly that they can't think straight. If you just sit for a moment and do breathing techniques, 478 is really wonderful. I've talked about that in a previous video, and I will probably revisit it in this video. Um, just doing the 478 and then asking yourself, okay, what can I do first? What do I need to do next? Whatever it is, but just stopping and centering before moving on. And so, meditation is a habitual process of training your mind to focus and redirect your thoughts. Um, it's become really popular over the years. It's more and more people are just using it because they're starting to understand the health benefits. And if I'm honest, meditation was a problem for me because that process of training my mind when I was younger was really, really difficult. Anytime that I sat and meditated, and you guys, I really wanted to meditate. I really wanted to be the granola centered third eye kind of um hippie type of girl that did meditation, but like every time I would sit down and do it, and mind you, the description I just had was, me being young and just kind of not understanding things. But um whenever I would sit down and do it, my mind would wander to something else. And then I started to, years later, explore guided meditation or focusing on a mental word to help me stay focused and centered. And sometimes I had to do it in shorter bursts because if I sit there too long, I'm either going to fall asleep or I'm going to think about something I need to do. So, one of the things I really love about meditation is you can use it to increase your awareness of yourself and your surroundings. Many people think it's just a way to reduce stress and develop concentration. For me, it's about stopping and understanding how you feel. And I know that seems funny because some people will say, well, I don't know. Like oftentimes I've had a client in therapy and I'll ask them about their anxious thoughts and they'll say, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm thinking anything that will cause me to be anxious, but these are the very people that are having panic attacks and continue to have panic attacks. And it's because they haven't slowed down enough or paid attention to their bodies enough, and just what they're thinking to identify, okay, yes, this is a trigger for me. I'm noticing something is off. I need to stop. And that's really what a lot of it is just kind of understanding, becoming more in tune with your body and your thoughts so that you can stop and answer the question you need to answer. Not to belabor the point, but I often ask my clients to just, again, stop, ask the question, what am I feeling in this moment? If I'm feeling overwhelmed, then what do I need to do? Maybe I need to reschedule a meeting, or maybe I need to tell a friend who I told I was going to help them that I can't help them, or limit the minutes or hours that I'm going to help them, or just say no because I'm feeling overwhelmed and that's what I'm going to need space to bring the anxiety down. Um, People also use meditation to develop other beneficial habits, right? Such as positive mood and outlook. It helps with self discipline, and it helps with healthy sleeping patterns, and even increased pain tolerance. And so, for the sleeping patterns, is often really good because doing a breathing exercise before you go to sleep is often helpful. A lot of people say they can't sleep when, once they lie down, it becomes difficult, their brain starts to race. Um, there's this thing called sleep hygiene. You can just kind of Google it and it'll give you a million ways in which you can just kind of help increase the likelihood that you'll fall asleep. One of them is the diaphragmatic breathing or the 478 breathing, and just reducing the the stimuli that you have around you. Like some people sleep with their phones. Well, that's not necessarily conducive to going to sleep at night. Some people, me, sleep with their televisions on. I don't have the sound, but for some reason, I don't really watch it. But the whatever's going on the screen, that those lights, they just kind of make me fall asleep. So for me, that's not a bother. But for someone else, those flickering lights, that would be a problem for them. And so just be aware of what's a problem for you. Um, so let's talk about meditation and stress reduction. Like it's one of the most common reasons people try meditation, right? And sometimes, like I don't know who typically listens to these audios, but a lot of times when it comes to young people, either, well, yeah, grade school age, middle school and high school age, sometimes people are not cognizant of the fact that those children um, struggle with stress, school, social dynamics. You have any kind of extracurricular activities, then your family commitments, like all of those can be stressful. A lot of children aren't doing things that they want to do. Like I just recently had a client who was in wrestling for years. He had wanted to quit for years, but he couldn't quit because it was the way him and his father connected. And the pressure of stress of that was just too much for him. He didn't have any coping strategies. Um, and it was just too much. And he eventually blew up and quit. So, um, and again, because his schedule was so busy, he didn't have the opportunity to really understand why he cracked under pressure until he came into therapy. I'm sure this kid wanted to just continue to make his parents happy. But I think a little bit of just kind of meditation or stopping and asking himself why he felt so overwhelmed and unhappy would have helped him to just kind of identify sooner that I'm just not comfortable and I need to talk to my parents. And I know those are difficult conversations. I mean, and it's not just your parents, it's your coworkers, your friends, your family. It's difficult to have those conversations because a lot of us don't want to disappoint people. But if I'm telling you that this is just causing me, hopefully, if I tell you this is causing me mental and emotional pain, then somebody will just kind of listen to you and say, okay, I got it. I understand. What do I need to do to help you? Um, so meditation is good in regards to controlling anxiety, right? Um, there's a research study that several adults found that meditation may decrease anxiety, right? um, i have I often, rather, when I have a client in sessions, one of the first things I want to teach you to do is relax. When we build a rapport, of course, I want to make you comfortable with me, but I'll talk about coping strategies. I'll talk about relaxation techniques, and I talk about those things because when we get down the road and we're talking about the heavier things, I need you to be able to identify those coping strategies, those meditation things, relaxation techniques we talked about, because you're really going to need those. Most of us um, are afraid that when we get to those heavier things, right? The fear sometimes of, and I'm saying most of us, I don't mean most, but some, the fear of opening up and talking about those really hard things. If you think about it in this way, anytime that I've ever thought about it, I've had a panic attack. I don't want to talk about it because sometimes the feeling of panic makes me feel like I'm going to die. So I'm not going to talk about the thing that puts me in a state where I feel like I'm going to die. I don't care how nice the therapist is. Like, ma'am, I like you, but I feel like I'm going to die. So I'm just really not going to talk to you about anything. And so I'm upfront about that feeling. And I'll also explain to clients that use the techniques, learn how to use the techniques, continue to implement them, because we will have some hard things to talk about. You will re experience, meaning sometimes that feeling of being assaulted or triggered or whatever trauma you experience, it'll come back. Um, and you'll feel like you're there. And again, a breathing technique or learning how to do that guided imagery to just bring you back to a calmer state is very, very helpful. Um, so, these meditation and mindfulness techniques, right, relaxation techniques, are some of the tools you can use to, again, just really, really explore those things that are well, excuse me, before you explore those things that are heavy. Those things will just kind of help you and prepare. And also what I've learned, I mean, in with meditation, is when it comes to just knowing myself, meditation can be very, very helpful. And again, it doesn't have to look like the practice. Sometimes with I know that was weird, that sound, but there's a Buddhist technique that uses Om, and I'm not saying that to be facetious or make fun of that practice, but sometimes people think you just kind of have to have um, be very well versed or be that skilled at meditation for it to actually work, and that's not true. It's really finding something that works for you. Um, so a, another thing it does is it just kind of promotes emotional health. So some forms of meditation can lead to improved self-image and a more positive outlook on life. And before I stumbled in my previous statement, that's kind of what I was thinking about. Like once I began to meditate, like the I don't know. It's almost like the knowledge of myself and who I am and where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to grow as a human. It really became more apparent once I started to just take my time. And again, I keep mentioning breathing techniques, but sometimes for me, just kind of stopping and just appreciating silence. There is a point in time in my home where everything is quiet. I'm not on the phone. I'm not listening to music. There's no television in the background. There's no flickering lights except for the soft light that I want on. And there's a hot drink in my hand, and I am just breathing. And sometimes, I'll sit there with maybe my eyes closed, and sometimes I'll just have like a visual object that I'm not focusing on in a trance like sense, but focusing on because it's beautiful. I'm one of those people, I have things on my walls everywhere. It's ridiculous, but I like pretty things, and that just kind of helps me. It makes me smile. I appreciate the art, or I appreciate something my child gave me, or the significant other, whatever it is. Having those things around me and focusing on those, it's really good, and I love it. Um, completing meditation as an exercise, you can have fewer negative thoughts in response to viewing just kind of negative imagery that just kind of comes to your head sometimes. And so, what that means, um, it goes back to that video I made about compassion. When there's quiet and there's time to meditate and there's time to relax, you are more gentle with yourself, right? Like you get frustrated. Like, say if you're doing something, you get frustrated and you're, oh, that's so stupid. Oh, I can't get this right. And you're saying all these negative things to yourself. But in that quiet, let's say if an anxious thought comes up and it says, today is going to be wild. Like you're going to fail this test. You definitely are. In that quiet and meditation, you can say to yourself, no, why would I fail? I studied. I know that material. I paid attention every time Mr. Brown talked about that subject. I know my stuff. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. And that meditation gives you time to stop. One of the components for me too is I don't like to wake up in a rush. I found that when I wake up in the rush, my whole day is off. And so taking time in the morning to just kind of slowly wake up, this is going to sound so granola, but introduce yourself to the day. Slowly wake up. Don't jump out of bed. Put your feet on the side of the bed. Do three just kind of inhales, exhales, or 3, 4, 7, 8 breathing cycles. Um, and give yourself time, right? To walk around and get done what you need to get done. Prepare the night before so that you won't be rushing to find clothing, to how you're going to fix your hair. Just make a plan the night before, and maybe that making that plan the night before will help you fall asleep, right? Um and so again, just slowly introduce yourself to that day. I don't answer my phone before a certain time. It is on do not disturb. If I can help it and not talk to another human that's in the house, um, and not in an ugly way, right? Because I will smile lovingly or wave or whatever it is to let you know that I acknowledge you. But things have become so routine. There's an understanding that, okay, there won't be words before a certain time in the morning. And that's okay. Sometimes you just have to bring people into the piece that you've created, those just kind of meditative spaces. Meaning that, if you're a parent and you have kids that are just kind of running around, why not teach them early how to self-regulate? And part of just kind of meditation and relaxing, that's a part of self-regulation for me. And I'll talk about, just like mind, body, and spirit, I'll talk about balance over and over again, because I often tell my clients almost everything in nature has balance, right? If your the pH balance is acidic or base, there's a balance. When you look at things again in nature and humans, and we're supposed to have balance. And I think you are stressed or you are depressed if you are having difficulty finding the balance. And for me, meditation, relaxation, using your coping skills, taking care of yourself, showing yourself compassion, those are the things that help you create um, balance. Meditation enhances your self awareness. This is one of my favorite things about it. Um, it helps you develop a stronger understanding of yourself, and it helps you grow into your best self if you allow it. One of the examples I like to use, like I'm absolutely obsessed with TikTok. I'm becoming less obsessed because the TikTok shop is driving me insane. But anyway, it's one of my favorite things. I have no idea why, but I look at a lot of therapy talk, author talk, just random stuff. But anyway, I saw this video of this young lady saying that she went to her therapist, and the therapist was asking her like how she felt, and she was really upset about something, and that's all she would say: "I'm upset." And the therapist was like, what other than upset? Because I think I've said it in a previous video, anger, which is code, upset is under the umbrella of anger. That's a secondary emotion. So you're feeling something else other than anger, and then you need to identify what it is. And so she eventually identified with the therapist, just kind of going through processes with her, that she was disappointed, right? So now that she was disappointed, she could answer that. And so let's put a pin in that. So for me, a lot of times when people say they're upset, meaning angry, the thing they say is, okay, I have to calm down. Once you calm down from being angry, not a lot of people say address your anger. Once you're calm and you're no longer angry, you move on, meaning you don't address the thing that triggered your anger. And so hidden in her quote unquote anger or upset was disappointment. And so if she doesn't address that or identify that that's how she feels, then she's just disappointed and something goes unsaid, which means the next time that person disappoints her, her response is going to be anger, and that person is going to be like, what's the big deal? I kind of don't get it, right? So we're taking the pen back out. So if she was able to say, to meditate and or pause in silence and ask herself, what am I feeling? Disappointment would come up, right? If she does the practice her therapist taught her. And when she says she's disappointed, now she can go to that person and say, the other day when you didn't pick me up like you said you were, it was really disappointing. Like it hurt my feelings, and I felt like I couldn't count on you. And I know that's not all the time, but that's how I felt in that moment. Then you and the person can have you can have a conversation. And mind you, that example is you're talking to a very reasonable person. So the response would be, how can I help you? Like, what can I do? Um, it might not always be that way, but we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves. And one part of self-regulation, and I don't want to, and managing yourself is expressing those feelings. And sometimes you need some time to figure out what you're feeling. There are times where people want answers from me where I'm not necessarily going to give you an answer because I may not have one. I need to know what I'm thinking and feeling before I can communicate that to another person. I never want to make the assumption or put the responsibility of someone figuring out how I feel, because that opens up a whole other can of worms. And so, lengthening, the last thing that I feel like, well, not last thing, but one of the last things, let me say it in that way. Meditation will help lengthen your attention span. When I first spoke in the video, I was saying that there were times where I just couldn't meditate for a very long time. My mind would wander off. But what I've noticed is I've gotten a lot better at um, remaining focused on things for a longer time. And honestly, I think some of that is because um, I've used that time, that silence, that meditative time to just kind of really clearing my mind. The article I read the other day said, meditation is like weightlifting for your attention span. It helps to increase the strength and endurance of your attention. And I thought that was a really good analogy because over time it does. And also, I think some of that was my poor attention span. A lot of it had to do with stress and anxiety, and being able to identify that and turn that around has been really helpful for me. Um, you can listen to meditation tapes, and that's again that guided meditation. That's really good when you first start off. There's also things you find the right tools. I don't want to say tools, but scripts, the guided meditation scripts, and they are just wonderful. I think year one, I did the red balloon. I talked about the red balloon. That's an example of the guided meditation. And to refresh, it's just imagining you're in a park. And if you want to get really deep into the meditation, imagine what the park looks like, whether there's benches, whether there's people in the park. For me, I like to just kind of have an expanse of green, grass everywhere and trees everywhere you look. I don't really like the people because, again, my brain, that would be distracting to me. And I like just the blue skies with clouds, and there's just me in the middle of this field with this balloon in my hand, and I let the balloon go. And mentally, I'm opening my hand, I'm releasing the balloon, and I'm watching the balloon rise and rise and rise into the sky until it's out of sight. By the time that balloon is out of sight, I am calm. I am calm and I am ready to get me a warm drink, which is my favorite. and um, I am just ready to conquer the world. Um, Another thing that just kind of meditation can do is it can just help generate kindness. And not only kindness for yourself, I mean, no, kindness for others, but kindness for yourself. That is one of the third things I'm going to talk about is that compassion is understanding how to be more compassionate with yourself, how to be more understanding. And that's going to take some quiet. That's going to take some meditation. That's going to take learning just about who you are. A few videos ago, well, yeah, I think it was year one, we talked about those negative core beliefs. Sometimes they can be very, very loud, but if you're not taking time to just kind of work through those things, like if my brain says something negative about me, and I know that's a weird way to say it, but I'm often I think of my thoughts as separate from me sometimes, because if a negative thought comes up, I'm not taking ownership of that. That's not necessarily real. That's me frustrated about something. And I'm not going to adopt anything that's just kind of unkind to me. Also, in the way you can extend that kindness to others is sometimes, when you're doing the meditation, you feel good, and when you feel good, you can respond in a healthier way, right? When you're harried or frazzled or running from to and fro, when someone, asks you to do something, then you're going to have a negative response. You're going to have a negative response, excuse me, like, oh, I'm frustrated, leave me alone. I don't have time for that. And you may snap on somebody in a situation where you really don't need to, right? And then, when you take time, when you take time and you sit in the quiet, sometimes you can just evaluate your previous responses. Why did I respond that way? Oh, I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let me go and apologize. Let me make that right. Or make the mental note of next time I won't do that because that didn't feel good to me. And I know it didn't feel good to the person that, I was angry with. Again, that goes back to that, just kind of learning how to self-regulate, and then again, understanding how you feel, putting yourself in a calm state so that you can understand how you feel, and then formulate a response. And hopefully that response is a kinder, gentler response, because often that's what we need, um, to give others and to give ourselves. Um, it'll, again, we talked about how, it'll help improve your sleep. Meditation, rather, will help improve your sleep. It'll help with pain. It's even been said to help people with that are struggling with addiction. um, I don't have a lot of research on that, so I don't want to talk about that much, but I did want to mention it so that if someone is struggling with an addiction, they can talk to their sponsor, or they can talk to their certified substance abuse counselor about, meditation techniques they can use. Meditation is accessible anywhere, right? You can do it anywhere. If you're feeling overwhelmed at work, on your lunch break, you can take a few minutes to go out in the car if you want to, or go into the break room. Not if you work in a busy place. In school, in a bathroom, go to one of the bathrooms nobody goes to, and just take your time and you just meditate so that you can, again, bring yourself back to center and feel better. Um, yeah, I think that's most of what I wanted to say about meditation. We're going to, because of course this series is going to be a lot more about the mind, body, and spirit connection. So meditation and self-regulation is definitely going to come up again. I'm probably going to talk about it a bunch because this year is just all about, hopefully, I can use these videos to help you just kind of understand yourself a little bit better and talk about that mental, emotional, and physical wellness we need to become just balanced humans. So I don't know, guys, buckle up. See you in the next video.